And here we go. The Warriors have won 9 of 11 games. You look in the standings, and somehow we're still in the 10th spot. But let's focus on the positives. Let's look ahead because that's what's important. I think there's a lot of positives to focus on right now. Let's start with Klay Thompson because that's where it starts. That's where it starts. The Warriors seemingly have finally addressed the elephant in the room, sent Klay to the bench, but more importantly, it's Klay and his response. And it's going to take some time. It's not going to be every night, right? But I think we may look back at last night's game and it might be one of those aha moments. It was almost like the moment Klay figured out, like, I am Tyler Durden, right? Like, I am. I'm Tyler. Like, you mean I'm fighting me? It's in my head, right? And you can look at the numbers. What was he? 1 of 9. Klay did the little things last night. He did the little things. He ran the floor. He fought over the top of screens. He was communicating. He was switching. He was aware on the weak side. And then you see the connection he's having with Trayce Jackson, where towards the end of that game, he got pass happy. He passed up some shots. But you talk about filling the cup, the ego of each player, and he seemed to get joy and he was happy with the win and the way he was able to contribute. You're in one of these ticketing apps. You've scouted out the seats that you want. You think you found a good deal, and so you're ready to hit the buy button. Boom. You get hit with fees that sometimes are as much as one of the tickets. It's insane. It's insane. And I think that's where the Game Time app separates itself. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. It's fast, it's easy, and for me, most importantly, all in upfront pricing. I know how much it is right away. I'm not getting hit with any surprising fees. And then I love the last minute flash deals. I am looking to catch the Oklahoma City Thunder here in Phoenix in March. I want to see Chet in person. That's my goal. And hey, they're an upcoming team. You see right here, they're going to let me know flash deal, row 14, 221. And then you get the view exactly. And you can pan like in like a real-time photo and see the view of the seats you're getting. And again, you know what you're paying for up front. That's so important to me. So whether it's basketball, I've got spring training out here, football, comedy shows, I highly recommend. Things are so much more funny in person than on a screen. We're all stuck at home. Go see a live comedy show. So take the guesswork out of buying your next tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code ALCHEMY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, download the Game Time app and redeem the code ALCHEMY for $20 off. Download the Game Time app for last-minute deals and the lowest prices guaranteed. Because there have been other games where he didn't take as many shots and he tried to play it the right way, but he was disgruntled. Last night, he was celebrating on the bench and he was finding joy in figuring out, like, I can do this a different way, right? Wouldn't it be ironic if Klay became like an assist hunter? It was like, Klay, you got to shoot the ball sometimes. Dude, you're just dropping dimes left and right. We get it. You want the 10 dimes. But yeah, man, again, don't pay attention to the numbers. And I think, some of that had to do with AD. He kept getting run off the three-point line, right? And then AD would meet him at the nail. And so he was taking some tough middies, but he recognized it quickly and he dumped it down to Trayce Jackson, who I guess is the other story of this game. What did he have? 17 points in like 15 minutes on his 24th birthday. And I talked about it in today's breakdown. When you're looking at big men, and especially in today's game, outside of like Jokic and Embiid, right? It's a lot more nuanced than when you're grading a Kuminga or a Jordan Poole or some of these young guys where it's so flashy, it's so in your face, the ball handling, the playmaking, and everything that they can do. With big men, a lot of it is like, hey, do you run the floor hard? Do you have good timing? Can you catch the ball? Like it's not glorious, but there's these nuanced attributes that these big men have to have. And I think the difficult thing about those, a lot of them are you can't really teach them, as we learned with James Wiseman. And in a lot of ways, Trayce Jackson is the polar opposite of James Wiseman. The timing, the hands, the feel, the motor, again, stuff you can't teach, he has in spades. and you saw how much he opened up the floor. The Lakers' game plan was very clear. Well, I guess it wasn't that clear, but I don't know how Darvin Ham uh, shows that drop coverage to Steph over and over again. I get AD kind of inches up, but maybe that's just an AD decision. But for the rest of the defense, it was like, hey, we're top locking, we're running Clay off the 3-point line. We're not going to give up threes. And when Trace entered the game in that second quarter, all of a sudden that vertical spacing and that check down that they had completely opened up the game. And you saw Wiggins use it. You saw Clay use it over and over again. And again, when you're just casually watching, you're like, well, any big guy can do that. Any big guy that can dunk can do that. No, the timing of where to be and where he hovers, and he creates these pockets for the pass. A lot like when you see a really good receiver or tight end, how they know how to sit down in zone coverage, and they're always like, how's this guy open? How's this guy open? He's not even fast, right? But it's like they sit down in the coverage where it's open, and Trace hovering in that dunker spot or on the roll, he creates these pockets where you don't have to be a great passer to find him, and then he has the big hands to catch and finish. Again, back to the unteachable attributes. I think that's what's exciting about it, is because he has all of those, and there's room to teach him the other attributes, because he's going to have to be more dynamic. He's going to have to use that right hand at some point, and maybe use some sort of English, play the glass better, right? But those are things that can be taught. The things you can't teach, he already has them. And so, yeah, it seems like a turning of the corner with this roster. And that's the other thing, that maybe unintended consequence of sending Clay to the bench and Clay seemingly starting to accept this role and find his joy again, is it allows Kerr to make other changes without anybody having to question it, right? Oh, Looney, you're only going to play 5 minutes. Oh, Dario, we're going to cut your minutes back for Trace or Quino, like whatever it is. Everyone has to fall in line, because the elephant in the room's been cleared, and Clay is falling in line and do it. I don't even want to use that term, falling in line, buying in. Clay is buying in to this new role and seeing that he can contribute in different ways. So therefore, everyone else has to, right? And then the other domino effect is all of a sudden Steph seems reinvigorated. He's got this youth and this energy on the floor, and Steph has that sparkle in his eye, like, oh, you're giving me a chance now? You're giving me a chance now? You thought I was done, right? And Kuminga, you're seeing them make a real conscious effort, particularly to start the second half, where they're like, all right, JK, go to work. You see the down screen from Steph, he either in and outs it or he gets downhill, he's making reads and giving him the ball early to push it up, like baby Giannis. We heard the Giannis rumors this weekend, right? But Kuminga has a similar effect with a head full of steam. Like, defense has to collapse. He's so aggressive, he leaves you no choice. I love seeing them giving him more opportunities to create. And what we're finding is, because a lot of these guys, man, the truth is, a talented guy like Kuminga, that archetype, they can be greedy players, right? And it's kind of just like they have one goal out there. They're just going to get downhill and try to score. Kuminga has shown that's not the case. He's more than a willing passer. He has the vision. He can be a playmaker, and they've empowered him in doing so with the early touches and letting him catch in the split and all that action. And then the other part of it was Andrew Wiggins. He low-key put that game away to start the fourth quarter, right? Like the damage was done. I get it, right? But we all know how fourth quarters have gone for us this season. And those non-Steph minutes to start the fourth, he puts Dinwiddie in the hoop a couple times. 3-ball, block, right? And he put it away. And he's just sitting at this point in his career here where he can truly seize that number 2 option on this team. Hey, it could be command. We don't have to play that game, but it's there for the taking. And again, the natural pecking order in him getting more natural opportunity with other people falling back into different roles. And that's just, it's really exciting. And I'll cop a plea right now. Listen, I was one of the people who said, yo, I think we're going to have to trade Wiggins. Like, call me impatient, call me a prisoner of the moment, whatever the case may be. And a credit to the fans who were like, no, we got to ride it out with Wiggs. He's going to be all right. And it's still a small sample size. I think it really, you can circle the passing of Decky, and when they came back from that, where Wiggins looked like a different guy, and you could start calling him two-way Wiggins again. But for whatever reason, he seems to have flipped a switch. And what I'll say is, my impatience, I think, was connected to last season as well. If there wasn't the extended absence where we didn't really get an answer about what was happening, and he just was slumping this year, I think I'd have been more patient, right? But when you combine that absence last year with the slump into this year, it was like, dude, I don't even know. And so I'll admit to that, but it's looking like, uh, believing in him and letting him push through whatever was going on. All of a sudden, if they can get two-way Wiggs back, Kaminga's taking the year 3 leap, Trace Jackson, all of a sudden they have a vertical spacer. Clay's going to become this playmaking shooter off the bench. Like, man, I don't want to get carried away here, but we're feeling pretty good. It's crazy how quickly things can change. This all has happened seemingly. Again, man, rest in peace, Decky. But it seems like that tragedy, it can go one or two ways with a group of people, and it seems like it's galvanized them and given them not just motivation, but some clarity and some perspective on big picture things. Now, CP obviously not back yet, and then GP2 was out with an illness last night. And I said it in the beginning of my breakdown today. I love GP2 as much as the next guy. I really do. But at a certain point here, availability is the best ability. He is not available enough, and people were like, hey, well, he's sick. You can't, it's always something. It's always something. I love him, but you can't rely upon him. And so both Quinones and Moody got about 20 minutes last night. I think Moody got 20 minutes. And I had proposed to you earlier in the week, like, hey, it kind of feels like an either or thing when it comes to minutes and rotations. Are you going to get Quinones or are you going to get Moody? We're probably not going to get both. But you saw the added element of physicality from Moses last night. And it was that lob he broke up on AD, the way that signature baseline drive where he gets to 2 feet and tries to rip the rim down, right? There's just an added element of ruggedness that Moody brings to the table that Quinones certainly doesn't. And again, Quinones has his own attributes, but it was great to see Moody get the 20 minutes. I guess my point is how can we expect that tonight if GP2's back? There's still there's still questions, I should say, about the back end of this rotation. But all in all, I think it's starting to come together and fit together. And I want to credit Clay for being a big part of that. And it's not, you could say, hey, he didn't have a choice. They sent him to the bench, but he had a choice on how he would respond. And the way he's responded, I think, has really opened up the door for this team, for the vibes to fully click in and the roles to fully click in, and they can reach their potential. And I think Steph can sense it. And again, you're seeing a reinvigorated Steph Curry out of the All-Star break. They got to keep racking up the wins. They got to get this Charlotte team is hot, right? Grant Williams, Seth Curry, Trey Mann, they're playing carefree, right? They're playing with house money this year. They're just rolling it out and letting it go. So it may be a dangerous trap game tonight, but I do like the fact that no one played heavy minutes, and I think they all understand there's no room for error at this point in the season. So I expect them to keep rolling tonight, and I will be back to break down what happens in that game tomorrow. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.